Special Populations in Gifted Education, Culturally and Linguistically Diverse Students, presented by Cynthia Bolton-Gaja. Minority representation in gifted and talented programs is significantly disproportionate for Caucasian and Asian students. Caucasian students represent about 70% of the students enrolled in schools nationally, but almost 82% of all students enrolled in gifted and talented education programs. Hispanic and African American representation in gifted programs is approximately half of student representation nationally. To combat this, teachers need to be aware of the unique qualities that minority students possess in order to better identify them for gifted education programs. Gifted children are described by the No Child Left Behind legislation as follows: students who give evidence of high achievement capability in areas such as intellectual, creative, artistic, or leadership capacity, or in special academic fields, and who need services or activities not ordinarily provided by the school in order to fully develop those capabilities. However, this is not necessarily an agreed-upon definition by those in the professional studies of gifted and talented students. A group of respected professionals in the field of gifted education suggest a definition based on the gifted child's differences from the norm or asynchronous development. Other professionals refer to normed tests to help classify gifted students from bright and high achieving to profoundly gifted. Each of these classifications of gifted children comes with a unique set of challenges that equal those of students on the opposite end of the normed curve. For teachers of underrepresented populations, such as linguistically and culturally diverse populations, recognizing gifted qualities and talent potential is an especially difficult task due to cultural differences, bias testing, and lack of training for teachers. Two misnomers that are common in educational communities today are this: gifted and talented programs are only needed to serve the children that parents bring to the door already identified as gifted, and poor and minority children have lower capabilities than middle and upper class white children. Step to identification is to recognize that minority students manifest gifted behaviors that are not typically recognized as gifted. They may solve problems differently, identify with others differently, express themselves differently, but most will exhibit an amazing ability to persevere by overcoming barriers that are outside of their control. Dr. T. Roger Taylor of Curriculum Design for Excellence has compiled a list of other indicators that may not be part of a traditional gifted identification checklist, mainly because they are characteristics that teachers might find disruptive or offensive, such as being outspoken in class, argumentative, or not exhibiting perfectionistic characteristics. The Newark, New Jersey public school system came up with an innovative way to identify minority and poor gifted students while they are in kindergarten. Researchers used kindergarten readiness screenings to locate potential. The results of this activity were remarkable. Prior to implementation of the program, only 0.2% of children entering first grade were being identified as gifted. After the study, 2% of the students entering first grade were identified as gifted. The results of the study indicated that young gifted children do exist in low-income schools. Research shows that students who are identified early on as gifted have a better chance for success in a gifted program. Other issues that come to mind when identifying gifted minority students are assessments. Traditional assessment tools that work for predominantly white populations are not as effective with minority students due to a lack of enriched educational experiences and language development. Better testing options are available. Nonverbal tests of intelligence, which are considered appropriate for a wide variety of people, especially those with limited English language skills, are better choices when testing minority students with limited language proficiency. There are many options available for all gifted students, including cluster grouping, differentiated instruction, pull-out programs, and self-contained programs. These programs are equally appropriate for minority students, but valid options that take the student's learning needs into consideration should be the priority. One option that has been very successful with minority students is acceleration, especially in math. Minority students report a satisfaction with the challenge and the ability to be with like-minded intellectual peers. Once students are identified for gifted education programs, there are issues that educators need to be aware of with minority gifted students. The primary issue is poor self-esteem due to a low academic and social self-concept. Minority gifted students reported teasing from ethnic peers about being white or selling out. They feel they are forced to make a choice between being accepted by the minority group or achievement in the gifted program. Another issue related to self-concept was the feeling of discrimination. No matter how hard I try, I will always be discriminated against because of my race. Some things that can combat this negativism are great teachers that can forge a positive relationship with students and mentors who can provide a positive role model for students. By the year 2050, minority student enrollment will exceed that of white students. As educators, we are obligated to seek out minority students and encourage their talents through specialized programming for gifted and talented students. Without this push, the results could become catastrophic.